guys, Susan here. I'm going to be reviewing this entry-level dress form by Figure Forms. You're not going to want to miss it. That's what's next. So I hope you've been watching my vlogs this summer. I've had a whole series of vlogs called Summer School to prepare you to be a fashion designer, whether you go to a university or not this fall. So this is going to go along with it. This company, Figure Forms from Cape Town, South Africa, reached out to me, and I already did a review on the half-leg body dress form in another video. I hope you see that. I'm going to put the link below so you can see that. But this is a gem today, guys, because this is relevant to you new students. This is an entry-level dress form that has all of the components you're going to need as a new fashion designer or a dressmaker or a student. So let's get started. All right, guys, so let me just tell you a little bit more about the company before I get started. The name of the company is called Figure Forms, and they're from Cape Town, South Africa. This company has been around since 1989. They've been around for 30 years. They're family owned and run. They have a very, very dedicated group of employees. Their communication is second to none, guys. They really are very articulate with their communication as well as their product. So I want to just get involved and start comparing this to the traditional dress forms that I'm used to and show you what you're not missing. All right, let's get started. First, I want to say that this is called the Tailor Friend T32, and it's a range of products that they have developed that has more of a simplified design and a quicker manufacturing process. They're making them now in size 8, 10, 12, and 14 in women's, and 38 and 40 in men's. I think they're expanding that as we speak. And I want to do a side-by-side comparison to my very first dress form that I ever had. So let me talk about that. Let's bring her out right now. And here she is. So this dress form was the very first dress form that I had. I was still at FIT dragging this on the street. The company does not exist anymore, but the way this is manufactured is pretty much consistent with what I'm used to. And I'm going to do a comparison. I want to first say that the three most important components as a new fashion designer to have in your first dress form, whether you're a dressmaker or just starting out, is measurements, measurements, measurements. No, let me back up. It's measurements, sturdability, pinnability. Measurements, sturdability, and pinnability. Why are those so important? And of course prices, and we're going to talk about that as well. But those are the three most important things to look for in a dress form as a first timer or just in general. And I'm going to talk about each one of those things with this. First, I want to say that the way these dress forms are made back are in a slower process. It's using a mold that they don't usually change but every 50 years. And they have a paper mache type process where we're doing it by hand, layer and layer and layer of this cardboard and paper mache, molding this dress form by hand, and then a linen cover is put over that, tightly over that. This is made from a rigid polyurethane foam in a mold that is cast, and the rapid curing process is what cuts down on the time and price of this dress form. This dress form is sturdy. This one's a little old, so it's not as sturdy, and it has a pedal, and I'll explain that later, that goes up and down. But this dress form, believe it or not, is pretty sturdy. I would say it is pretty sturdy. It's much lighter of a dress form, and that's where it can become a little bit more wobbly than the traditional dress form, but it's still pretty sturdy. That's a huge pet peeve of mine. And pinnability, and I'm going to show you that later as a close-up. I want to talk about shape first. Shape. I loved this dress form because as a new designer and a student, I love that it had a pointy bust, but this has more of an anatomically correct bust. But before I get to that, let's do some measurements, shall we? This was padded. These measurements are 34. 25 and a half, 36. This dress form is 33 and a half-ish. And I have it here at 26. and 36. So without padding, it's already ahead of the game. It already has more of a realistic body shape that you don't have to do all those crazy padding. I will say certain things. I'm going to turn it on its side now. This has more of a pointy bust. That was a very good thing for me because it was easy for me to teach fashion design because the apex was easy to find. But this has more of an anatomically correct bust, which I like a lot. So this from shoulder to apex is about 8.5. Here from shoulder to apex is 9. So that's huge. I will say that this has more of a slope here for the high hip. I kind of liked the slope that's higher here on my dress form because a lot of people carry weight here and that makes it easier to do some designing. But this one actually has a little bit of a tummy going on, so they got that solved on that one. As far as the hip measurements, we got the hip measurements about the same. This is a size 6, this is an 8, it's just what they're calling it. But back then I was using a size 6 for my sample size. As we're growing in the United States as far as our weight, the sample size then has to grow with that. So now I'm using like an 8 or a 10 for my sample size mannequin, but that's a whole nother vlog in itself that we can talk about. So those are all the components as far as measurements and shape. Let me show you the bottom, the pedal, and the pinnability next. And this is the height adjustable steel epoxy-coated tripod that holds this dress form up. It has a knob here that you can just go up or down with and tighten as you want to lift it or lower it, and it's very, very sturdy. Okay. These are the colors, by the way, that you can get your dress form in, the poly spandex that this is covered in. Okay, so this is pinnable about the same way this is pinnable. On an angle, you have to put the pin on an angle and it will be able to go in that much on the dress form. This is also pinnable on an angle. You could go all the way through, but you wouldn't want to. When you're designing, you just want to be able to secure the muslin or your fabric with as little bit as possible. So it's pinnable on an angle, just like the normal dress form that I am used to. Okay, I'm giving this a thumbs up. This dress form is a great beginner dress form. It's also good for intermediate. It's a good sturdy dress form. And the best part of this, guys, is $250 USD before shipping. Wow. That is a really good price if you're looking for dress forms. If you love this video, give this a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you want to purchase this dress form, please use my code below in the description box and share this with your friends. And I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Susan here. I'm going to be reviewing this figure form from